Hello everyone, welcome back. So, some news to chat about today. This time, Bonnie Wright has spoken about how unhappy she was at how Ginny Weasley was written for the movie. Now, it's not really a secret at how badly Ginny came across on screen in comparison to the absolute fearless, brave, courageous legend that she was in the books. As a matter of fact, if you ask me, just my opinion, they are literally two separate characters. So different in so many ways, it's just crazy. Movie Ginny was so awkward and had several unnecessary moments. Bonnie's chemistry with Daniel in the movie wasn't great. I mean, it just didn't work, and even today, 12 years after the final movie, fans of the franchise are still not happy with how the only Weasley daughter turned out on screen. And Bonnie, yes, Bonnie, who played Ginny, is one of them, initially commenting that she was happy with the 8 movies and wanted them to be treated like a time capsule that we could all go back and enjoy. There wasn't much enjoyment for Bonnie with how frustrated she was with so much heavy oversight by executives when it came to her role. Now, I'm going to get into her quotes in a moment and what she said, but let's just take a look at the area that's seen Ginny's character receive the most criticism. Wright's character basically, she has very little to do. She isn't given enough screen time to really become relatable in any meaningful way, and she has little in the way of memorable qualities. Her storylines from the book aren't in the movie, like her relationship with Dean Thomas, which was a centre point for Harry's jealousy, got about 5 seconds of screen time. Other ridiculous scenes, like Ginny tying Harry's lace to force a connection that was never previously established, was just cringeworthy. There was no backbone, there was no substance to the relationship. The lack of development for Ginny ultimately makes her romance with Harry downright confusing, as the main motivating factor for the two characters getting together seems to just be that it happened in the books, and everyone was supposed to already know what happened, which is just bad writing, but more importantly, a lack of caring for a character that executives just didn't seem to care about. Bonnie says, "I definitely feel there was anxiety towards performing and doing the best thing as my character built, for instance, like, oh gosh, will I do justice to this character that people love?" So that was always hard to do, especially when, inevitably, a lot of the scenes of every character were chopped down from the book to the film. So you didn't really have as much to show in the film. Something that was a little disappointing because there were parts of the character that just didn't get to come through because there wasn't the scenes to do that. That made me feel a bit anxious or just frustrated, I guess. So it's pretty clear that Bonnie wasn't happy, but obviously, being as young as she was at the time, didn't voice her concerns to the countless execs overseeing the entire project. I can imagine it was pretty intimidating, to say the least. It also shows that Bonnie did actually invest herself in the character, read the books, got to know the important standout traits and moments of Ginny's, and then when it comes to filming the scenes she probably expected to see, it's the complete opposite. Bonnie also goes on to say the following: "There was no room for much change in those scripts. There were a million executives going through them all. I think what maybe I took, which I don't take so much to heart now, is I kind of felt that maybe my anxiety was about, oh, I'm going to be seen as badly portraying this character, rather than later realizing that I wasn't really given the opportunity to do that. So it wasn't really my fault exactly." So rightfully, Bonnie defends herself as an actress, highlighting that there's differences between bad acting and a bad portrayal. She could only read what was on the script, guys. Not much improvisation was taken on board for actors so young, or their opinions, and I wouldn't be surprised if half of the execs hadn't even read the book themselves. I really wouldn't be surprised. It's clear as day that they treated Ginny as nothing more than a side character, which contradicted her importance in the books, and obviously that filters over to the character's relationship with Harry. The lack of substance was daunting. As I mentioned earlier, Ginny had so many silly, awkward, forced scenes that just didn't give her character any build-up. We didn't see Ginny the Quidditch player, Ginny the excellent flyer on a broom. We didn't see Ginny's disagreements with Ron, standing up for herself, not taking any crap. The Ginny who talked about what it was like to kiss a boy with Hermione, someone she struck up a good friendship with, all left out of the movies. The saddest part of it all is Ginny was a trailblazer, so many people's favourite character from the book, and it's not a surprise to see how much it angered fans, something Bonnie also highlights in her interview where she says, "And when fans do share that disappointment, and they do it in a way that are like, we know it wasn't you, we just wanted more of you." And that's the same of every character. If only they could be 5-hour long movies. It's a very true statement, guys. Especially that last line of 5-hour long movies. I think every movie could have been split into 2 parts, like the Deathly Hallows was. Like, how could you squeeze the Goblet of Fire, a book that's longer than the Deathly Hallows, into one movie, but then split the Deathly Hallows into 2 parts, or The Order of the Phoenix, the longest book of the series, at 766 pages, into one movie? It doesn't make any sense to me. What's worse is I still see plenty of people actually criticize Bonnie for her role as Ginny, when not many of us stop and realise that this was a young girl at the time who had no control over anything. This is the script, learn it and act. I do think it's unfair to give Bonnie crap over her portrayal as Ginny, and I'm actually delighted that she finally spoke out to share her own opinion on the situation, as I've wondered for many years if she actually did have a problem with how Ginny was written, and it turns out that she did. For someone who invested herself into a character like Bonnie did, it's nice to know that she shared the same views as the fans. Maybe if she actually spoke to J.K. Rowling about it, something could have been done, but if you think about it, J.K. Rowling sat back and watched them ruin the Ginny character in the movie too, so not much she probably would have done there, I suppose. I'm sure J.K. would care about the portrayal of Ginny just as much as anyone else. Now I know she was on set a few times and had a look over the script, but in the end, it was felt that there just wasn't enough room to expand on her character, which is sad because, as I mentioned, it affected Ginny's relationship with Harry on screen. My only hope is that the TV show does a much better job, especially with it being episodical. There should be plenty of time to focus on Ginny a little more. Maybe each character gets an episode for their own. That's what I'd like to see anyway. I think it's the way to go when it comes to the TV show, but with that being said, who knows? It all remains to be seen. Speaking of J.K. Rowling, guys, she has literally been removed from the Harry Potter exhibition in the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle after the museum director wanted to appeal more to an underrepresented community. So guys, continue this video by clicking the card and we'll continue our chat over on the video